Hello, sorry I'm ripping somebody else off, a bit energetic, and what do I usually start with? As always, it's tea time with Mr. Buff Bin Stuffed here, and I've got my vitamins here, ready to charge me up. If you want to boost your testosterone, fuck this taking steroids coming off, then going to the doctor, I feel weak, and then getting injected every month, fuck that. You take some of these, if you can see it on the camera. D, E, and zinc. And that's part of the trifecta. Right, anyways, me waffling on. Right, what was I going to talk about? Remember now. It's tea time. It's video time. And I wanted to talk about the WrestleMania card that's coming up, WrestleMania 30. And what I'm going to do is, instead of talking about the whole card in one video, I'm going to take something each week or each video and talk about it in addition to another video. And if there's anything else you want to ask me, feel free. I want to really get to know what people are thinking. There's a lot of WWE hype or discussion at the moment, given what's happened with CM Punk, given what's happened with the WWE Network. Hulk Hogan returned the other week, they wheeled him out. Undertaker came out, they wheeled him out. And we're going to start talking about WrestleMania, and you know, everyone's going to be doing their WrestleMania videos, so I'm going to do mine. And I'm going to start off with all the matches that are coming up, and the match that I want to talk about first is perhaps the match that I'm the most interested in for a number of reasons, and that match will be Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, which looks like it's going to happen at WrestleMania. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what I feel about it, what I think could happen in a markish way and a smarkish way. So let's get going. Let me have another sip. Fucking love that. So Daniel Bryan Triple H looks like it's going to be happening, and this is the replacement match because CM Punk is no longer with the company at this time, it's believed. So now Daniel Bryan has been drafted the short straw, depending on who you ask. If you're a Triple H hater, you'll think of it as a short straw. And he will be in there with Triple H at WrestleMania, presumably. And they've been building this feud, really centering it around these two for the last few weeks. And what do I think of it? In terms of a WrestleMania match that's never happened before, that's good. I like it. I always think that WrestleMania should have matches that you've never seen before, interactions that are new and fresh, because I feel that adds to the WrestleMania package myself, as opposed to a cold wet fish of a title match known as Batista and Randy Orton, which we can talk about another fucking time. But yeah, Bryan and Triple H is a fresh matchup, a matchup that's never been done before, it's never been seen on television before, and I am intrigued by that, the fact that this is a Shawn Michaels student, well, in a way you want to say two Shawn Michaels students, one, you know, in Triple H, who was like his protege, and then Daniel Bryan, who was a Shawn Michaels student, so that's interesting for me to see. Then you've got the stuff that's been going on with Daniel Bryan for the last, to be honest, since he signed with the company. And to be honest with you, I'll say it like this: Daniel Bryan has been one of these guys that, on the one hand, he's been benefited of very good booking, but on the other hand has been on the receiving end of counterproductive booking, and it's really weird how that works out. You go through his time on NXT, it was like that. You go through the time he was apparently fired and then came back, it was like that. You go through his year in 2011, it was like that. You go through 2012, you know, the infamous losing in 18 seconds match. And while that was one of the weirdest and most bizarre and strangest ideas to have put forth for a WrestleMania match, and you think that would have hurt the guy, in a way it worked against them, because he became even more popular and fans became even more vocal about the guy. And I think a lot of fans have always felt that he has been the wrestler that's been given the shaft for WrestleMania every couple of years, and this is a guy that in a lot of people's minds is WrestleMania worthy, could have those WrestleMania moments in terms of matches, and people have always felt strongly about that. People were not happy when his match with Sheamus was scrapped. People were not happy with the 18-second loss. It looked like it was going in a better step when he was in the tag match with Kane. I thought that was really, really good, and he seemed determined to put on a show that night. And now he gets his first proper solo match with Triple H, and there's no way that match is getting scrapped, because again, The thing that I hate about Triple H in real life is the man's ego, but at the same time I like it because it means that at least we know that Bryan's going to get a program on there. Now, the concern I think that there is... Now, let's just talk about the feud before I go, because it will link him. This feud has kind of been built up since the summer. It was Hunter's turn on Bryan, because Bryan isn't good for business. Randy Orton is. And they've had this little feud. Bryan has offered him out several times, and Hunter has given that smart ass remark of, "Oh, when I go in to wrestle, I only wrestle stars, guys like Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, The Rock, A-list guys. You're a B-level wrestler." And on the one hand, that works, for him to not accept the challenge. On the other hand, it just makes the other guy sound like a complete and utter bum. But this feud has been progressing. There's a lot of war of words between the two. You even had Shawn Michaels involved at one point with that, and I think a lot of people thought we were going to see Shawn and Daniel Bryan. And just for the record, Bryan is a better wrestler than Shawn. Suck it. So that's just my opinion. I think you just don't know it. But now you're doing Bryan and Triple H. This war of words goes on even more. You've had Bryan. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted by what's going on outside my window. Dear oh dear, don't ever want to see that again. There's a man, pasty white man in flip-flops, walking his husky in a vest. Fuck's sake, seriously. And he's ginger too. But we'll go back to the topic. You've had this war of words between Triple H and Bryan. You've had Hunter say what he says in his promos, and in a way it doesn't help Bryan. But now, given what's happened with CM Punk, it's quite an easy transition to put Bryan in that feud, because he's been going up against the Authority, and I think this is a step up considering no one knew what they were going to do with Bryan for WrestleMania. It was even rumoured they were going to do a Sheamus rematch, for God's sakes. So, we're now getting Bryan and Triple H. Now, what do I think about this? In terms of in-ring chemistry, Hunter's a good wrestler. Look, I don't like him very much. I think he's a leper. I think he's a satanic creature. I'm being sarcastic with the last one, but not the first one. But he's good enough, and he will always put on a show at WrestleMania, and he doesn't have... He couldn't be paired with a better wrestler than Daniel Bryan in terms of skill, in terms of ability, in terms of how popular he is right now, and I think that could be a very heated match. I wasn't looking forward to the idea of it for a while, because with a lot of Hunter programs, they can be a bit... When he wrestled CM Punk, everybody will remember this. He wrestled CM Punk when Punk was at his hottest, and he had to beat him. Jeff Hardy. This is another one, 2007 Armageddon. Jeff Hardy was really hot at that point, and I mean, people it just took a life of its own, and he had the #1 contenders match with Triple H, and it was Hunter smacking him around for the whole match, and then Jeff Hardy getting a very unsatisfying roll-up pin on Hunter, a lucky pinfall. And if that's the kind of match we're going to get with Bryan and Triple H, then I'd rather not, see it, because that's quite unsatisfying in my opinion. You don't want to see that, because it's going to be like, well, the story of the match is Hunter trounced him around, got cocky, and then he got pinned. Then you're going to do a rematch and Hunter wins it. It's just, there's no point. And I can see them doing that, and if they do that, then that match to me is just unsatisfying. Now, if they have a competitive matchup where Bryan looks like an equal, where Bryan even surpasses Hunter and Bryan wins, that would be excellent. That would be ideal. In an ideal world, Bryan would beat Triple H, and then it would come out that he'd have to face, he'd have to go in a title match afterwards. That would be ideal. That would actually add some life to the title match, to tell you the truth. But that would be the most ideal situation right now. To be honest, the most ideal situation would be him at the end of the show, which is another rumor. People think that's going to close the show. If it's a match where he's not made to be an equal, and they keep pointing out his weaknesses and they keep pointing out his flaws, then I'm not that interested in it. Now, in the story, it looks like they're starting to play up that Hunter might be a bit scared of him, but will he show that vulnerable side to himself? I'm not sure, because he's a character that's very overprotected. They had the face-off interview with him and Michael Cole, which was quite good. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And it seemed to be hinting on that Hunter's a bit fearful of him, like he's fearful of losing to someone like that, and that could be an interesting way to go with it. But if it's one of those things where Hunter's just laughing at him the entire time and then just trounces him for the whole match and it's a lucky pinfall, then there's no point doing the match. I think that based on last Monday, it looks like it's going to be a lot more exciting than I thought. I wasn't that excited about it, but I think that Raw interested me more about it, and I will keep an open mind to it. So I'm going to stop, and I want to know what everybody else thinks of it. What does everyone else think? Is this a match you're looking forward to now? Was this a match you were not looking forward to before, but now are more convinced to see it? Are you in fear that it's going to have that formula like I mentioned with Jeff Hardy and like I mentioned with CM Punk, where he trounces them for ages and then, you know, the other guy gets lucky and then he has to win? Is it going to be one of those things, or is Hunter going to use his powers for good? Is Hunter going to... like he's some he's a super villain. Is he going to use his powers for good, and is he going to do the right thing, and is he going to put Bryan over strong? Because look, let's face it, with CM Punk presumed to be gone for a while, Roman Reigns, who isn't ready yet, Seth Rollins, who is probably just starting his push now, Dean Ambrose, who's going to be a great heel, they need another guy to be up there with Cena, and Cena's body is breaking down, and, you know, they're going to need a strong number 2, joint number 1 babyface. And with all of those things that I've just mentioned, it's probably the right time now for Daniel Bryan to win. And let's hope that they don't go with some counterproductive booking afterwards. Anyways, I'm going to stop. I'm going to upload this. Let's hope I don't see the pasty white man with ginger hair and flip-flops and shorts walking his husky again. If he does, I'll show you and you'll know what I mean. I was completely distracted for a few seconds there. And yep, let me know what you think. If you haven't seen this channel before, comment, rate, subscribe. Anwar Dawson, all the best for WrestleMania, my friend. Take care, all of you. Comment, rate, sub, love you all, and the next video will be up. Please request stuff. To tell you the truth, I'd rather you lot request stuff and I just respond off of that, because I find that that's my better work. Anyways, bye.